come with a guarantee.
Are you sure you want to help? It could be dangerous. Okay, let's get started. R7, patch into the central computer. Bring up every secure file on Clone Trooper CT-5555. Okay, Rex, what am I looking for?
An independent investigation confirmed that the Clone Trooper CT-5555 experienced a malfunction with his inhibitor chip. Both the Senate Committee and the Jedi Council have accepted these findings. However, a grievance report was filed by CT-7567.
R7, bring up that report. It's sealed. Try Anakin's passcode, 8108.
I already know this report's gonna fall on deaf ears, but I owe it to Fives to record what I saw. I'm not sure I believe it myself, but there's a possibility that the inhibitor chips the Kaminoans put inside us have a purpose that we don't yet fully understand.
Frankly, there is no excuse for this behavior. There's no excuse for these conversations. There's no excuse for this engagement. Also, keep in mind, academics,
you're just weird, bruh,
is like openly transphobic and has even posted on Twitter that we got to keep stuff like, you know, transness and trans identity out of hip hop.
If I meet a man and he tell me that him being a man is a social construct, I slap the shit out of him. Yo, Big 45 and Big 47 don't want to hit.
I don't think he's ever slapped a single person ever.
None of that, man. If your auntie's a man, if you got fingered as a kid, man, go talk to the therapist. For the next 4 years,
Ever.
I slap the shit out of him. Yo, Big 45 and Big 47 don't want to hit.
I don't think he's ever slapped a single person ever.
None of that, man. If your auntie's a man, if you got fingered as a kid, man, go talk to the therapist. For the next 4 years, we focusing on Bitcoin, Ethereum, locking the borders, telling Putin to chill the fuck out. And
How tall is academics? Yeah, okay.
making sure China don't take over, nigga. That's what we.
Yeah, okay.
Making sure China don't take over, nigga. That's what we focus on, bro. And we focus on making sure niggas don't get in female sports beating their ass.
But apparently, like, what's cool and what's legit and what gets a pass is having sexual conversations with children. Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. Trans people, boo, bad, 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 ooh, bad. That's the worst.
So true.
Yeah, instead, let's just jokingly pressure a 15-year-old boy into talking about whether or not he would screw your male friend. Yeah, that's real cool. That's awesome. That's like real dope. Again, I'm disgusted. I'm mortified. I don't really know what else there is to say. There's just no reason for this. It's disgusting, and it's especially brazen and worrying in an age where in politics, in music, there are just PDF file allegations abound, going in every direction. But while that paradigm that I just discussed is very much the case,
I mean, academics in general is just insufferable to listen to. I'm not that surprised.
Sadly, also, we very much live in an age of society where, frankly, I think our biggest problem is that we just don't have any fucking shame anymore. People act upon and speak upon every single stupid, fucking, disgusting, vile, just ridiculous idea that pops into their dumb...
Bro, middle age talking about Bitcoin drinking Prime. Was he drinking Prime? Are you serious? Where's the Prime bottle?
It's a social contract. I slap the shit out of him. Yo, Big 45 and Big 47 don't want to hear none of that, man. All right? Your auntie's a man. If you got
Nah, it's Happy Dad.
fingered as a kid, man, go talk to the therapist. For the next 4 years, we
PDF file allegations abound, going in every direction. But while that paradigm that I just discussed is very much the case, sadly, also, we very much live in an age of society where, frankly, I think our biggest problem is that we just don't have any fucking shame anymore. People act upon and speak upon every single stupid, fucking, disgusting, vile, just ridiculous idea that pops into their dumbass head. There's no check. There's no balance. There's no second guess. There's no what if. It's all action and no remorse. And as a result, you have complete fucking freaks like this.
I love when other people say freaks, because I say freak a lot. Freakazoid, freak of nature. It's confirmation bias, you know?
Doing the unthinkable and taking advantage of a young mind at a distance in the weirdest, most gross way possible.
Academics is consistent. Fantano took down his fun meme channel because his rainbow friends went, actually. Yeah, I mean, I don't... Bro's got play buttons for real. Holy shit. Gotta collect them all over here.
Possible. This is just gross. And if there's anything that shouldn't be in hip hop, it's fucking this. All right, I'm gonna leave that there because I don't want it to go anywhere else. Let me know what you think down in the comments about all this. I'm sure
I'm just I'm overstimulated. There's too many groomers, too many weirdos, too many freaks. I only have so much bandwidth. This shit glosses over my brain. Okay, now he's actually a freak. Okay, cool. Now we can move on. It's the cost of slop. It's the new normal. Everything online is fake, Phil. You think so? Academics just wanted a friend. I'm just going to sit here and keep drinking my tiny cup. Sipping my espresso with the pinky up, because I'm a gentleman. Oh. This chat is bot proof. The creepiest podcast ever.
You're saying...
Let's get into it. What the fuck is a goonicide? Boy, you're late. The creepiest podcast ever by Podcast Cringe. Okay, we got Bill Maher. Is that Matt Gaetz?
To me, what I did 25 years ago is better than what I've done the last 20 years.
Let me show you a Bill Maher clip, by the way. You guys you want some Bill Maher lore? Let me pull this up real quick.
to Drinking Bros.
This is by the channel Drinking Bros Studios. So top left, I mean, you see podcast cringe, but this is just contextual reference information. We'll get back to podcast cringe in a second.
Presented by GhostBed.com.
Listen, let me just tell the story first before I tell it.
For reference, this is Tiana Trump. She's an adult film actress, a mattress actress, whatever you want to call her. One of the goats in many people's books.
Tell the story first.
Okay, so this is how I got hooked up with him. Some porn star had hit me up. Apparently he likes this. I'm probably gonna give it away. Black girls.
Yeah. Look, Bill Maher loves black girls. Is it Bill Maher?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, but he's not a politician.
She said he had a political show. She didn't say he
Okay,
was
so
a
he's got a
politician.
political show. I tell you what, to make you feel even more comfortable then, right? I've been a Hollywood dude for a long time. Bill Maher.
I think this takes the cake as the creepiest podcast ever.
I feel, and this is totally genuine, I feel his whole position and his whole shit as a comedian for the last 20 years is just to have been impressed black girls. That's it. So like he's been out to dinner with
Corinne
every
Steffens.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I don't. He was really like weird though.
Bill Maher? Well, he's older. You know that, right? Like he's in his 60s, and it's like,
Well,
hey.
I lied to him. So I swear to lie to everybody about my age. So like when I went there, I was 18, and he was like, "How old are you?" I was like, "I'm 22." He was like, "Well, when did you graduate high school?" I couldn't think of the math in my head, so I just said something. He was like, "Well, sweetie, that would mean you're this old." And so I was like, "Fuck." He was like, "So you're lying to me? I don't like liars." So he got real serious, and then he started asking me other questions.
Really?
About so I was getting money.
Bill Maher, through an escort service, sleeps with Tiana Trump when she's 18 years old.
From him, obviously, because he paid me for the service, blah, blah, blah. And I had to split it with the person or give them a cut because they had booked it.
Yeah.
He was like, "What person?"
Escort. That's prostitution. How come when we call it escort, it's cool? It's fine. It's legal. Prostitution? No. Bad. Illegal.
He was so mad. You could tell he probably wanted to cancel. Like it was the most awkwardest experience ever. But there's so much more, but I don't want to speak on it. He has a really big dick though.
That's what I heard.
Nice.
So everybody knows.
See, now that pisses me off. I could have gone my whole life without that information.
So here's what I heard. Like him,
like that.
David
Good for
Spade.
him.
I heard Spade's got a fucking
David
hammer
Spade's
on.
fine.
Now we have to watch the next clip with that in the back of our minds.
Yeah.
And there's guys that are just known as like, all right, cool, you got a big dick, you don't put up with this shit. My question is this though: is you're not a prostitute?
No.
So is there a service for porn stars where it's just like, hey, I want this porn star and I'll take this porn star and it's cool? Who is he calling and who is he paying at that point?
Black girls?
Yeah, but who does Bill Maher call? Like, did you have a pimp or somebody who was just like, hey?
I literally have, it was another porn star and it was a white girl and I don't think she's fucked him, but she just is like, I think she just sets shit up for us. Because I know
Really?
another black girl that went and seen him and like, she went through the same person.
So Bill Maher is a gooner. I mean, we can all move on from this clip. Pretty disgusting.
That's insulting. I'm not
This guy, bro. This guy.
gonna be mad at you for the rest of the interview. I just want to tell you, that's just a fucking stupid way to start a conversation.
So you think
you peaked 20 years ago, Bill? Let's be friends.
No, it's not
That's
peaking.
what you just
It's a
said.
better artistic presentation of your
First
work.
of all, you're wrong.
You know what it is? It's the soy physiognomy. On a spiritual level, it inflicts psychic damage.
Artistic presentation of your work.
Let's be friends.
No, it's not
That's
peaking.
what you just
It's a
said.
better artistic presentation of your
First
work.
of all, you're wrong.
You know what it is? It's the soy physiognomy. On a spiritual level, it inflicts psychic damage.
You're one of these not boomer. You're Gen
Yeah,
X,
I'm a
right?
boomer.
You're a boomer.
Gen X. Oh, thank you. That is so.
He does look like a Simpsons character.
Well,
Kind
okay.
of you. No, I'm totally.
Just because
Like, if you're going to be brazen, if you're going to be bold and edgy, you can't look like that.
said the first show was better
I
does
know.
not mean I said the second show
You're
wasn't
so
great.
right. I'm acting like a wife.
You are. You are such a whiny bitch sometimes.
I'm usually not. You just hit a nerve.
you-
But you're right.
you-
I'm acting like a wife who will not let it go.
When I first saw the thumbnail for the latest episode of Bill Maher's podcast, I immediately said to myself, what the actual fuck, and went straight to the comment section. It turns out
Bro's Homer maxing.
I wasn't the only one. Matt Gaetz going on any podcast after his resignation, let alone Club Random, wasn't on my bingo card for 2025. And as you saw on the intro there, it only took Bill a few minutes to get into character as an arrogant, out-of-touch boomer who thinks everyone else is stupid. But after his little dummy spit, they ended up getting along really well, which honestly just ended up being fucking weird.
Just looking in your eye, talking to you, not the media guy I saw.
Pays for sex, by the way. Allegedly, of course.
You're a lot brighter than I thought you were.
Did you think I was not bright?
Yeah.
And what gave you that impression?
Like everything you've said and done.
And so the podcast went in so many different directions, but once they got into Gates' allegations and his resignation from Congress...
Where's his wife? Does Bill Maher have a wife? Nope.
A week after being re-elected in a landslide victory, things got really weird. And then it got straight up creepy. Not to mention Bill Maher's ad reads for Kim Kardashian's Skims company.
Skims. It's big news.
Oh, dude. Where are my sponsorships on this channel? Skims. Big news. That's where I store my giant banana that I slam mattress actresses with.
It's not making underwear for men.
My cock is actually so fucking big. I have to size up.
And they're fantastic.
There's something eerily ironic about Bill Maher whining about social media and politics, and then in the next breath shilling underwear for Kim Kardashian with a straight face. But let me get you up to speed on the Matt Gaetz situation. For those of you who don't know what happened, between 2017 and 2020, Gaetz allegedly paid 11 women over $90,000 to have...
so these are two peas in a pod.
Have sex with him, as well as a 17-year-old girl, which is illegal in the state of Florida. He is also alleged to have regularly used coke, pills, and weed during these encounters, not to mention the fact that he actively sought to derail the investigation by interfering with witness testimonies. You know, the usual Washington bullshit. But one thing that...
Bill is the dunningest of Krugers.
isn't alleged and has been proven beyond any doubt is that he has a stupid fucking face.
You know what he looks like? He looks like Adam Conover on Tren. He looks like Adam Ruins Everything on Test. He looks like his evil stepbrother.
If Bert Kreischer could recreate himself, he'd want to look like Matt Gaetz. The guy has resting douche face. And so with all the allegations swirling around, forcing Gaetz' resignation in December, for reasons which I'll explain shortly, Bill Maher couldn't help himself and had to throw in a little dig at Gaetz for spending so much money on hookers, which led to one of the strangest conversations I've ever heard.
I don't know what you've heard about me. I don't know what you heard about me. Remember that one?
Yeah.
But a can't get $1 out of me. Well, that
Shut up. Go away.
doesn't apply to you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go. I didn't mean to go there. I just sang the song and put
way
it.
less than Skip Bayless, I would suggest.
What? Oh, boy. I saw that story.
1.5 million.
It's so typical, though, isn't it? Guys who are certainly of a certain age, but they can be young, who are
Find a wife.
just so desperate for any, usually they're married, I'm not knocking marriage, but, you know, and it's just been so long since I'd have any sort of affection or anyone touching them or laughing at their jokes that they make such fools of themselves with, they just want something from someone of the opposite sex that makes them feel alive again.
It's time to start a family, bro. Dude, where are these women and where are their children?
So right, and what is so I think undertold in sugar daddy, sugar baby dynamic that we see play out pretty regularly across society now is like, who's taking advantage of who? Because what you just described, a lot of these guys that fit that archetype, they get in to some young pussy that they hadn't been in before, and they will do anything. They'll give up their family, their house, their money. It is so like, oh wait, are you saying that they're the person utilizing leverage and the power dynamic?
He's gish galloping
More than someone who quite literally has them by the balls.
Well, when you put it that way, Congressman, I mean, former Congressman.
Don't demote me.
Bill Maher and Matt Gaetz criticizing rich dudes who pay for sex is absolutely fucking wild. And then Gaetz saying, "Don't call me a congressman because that's a demotion." Bro has a weekly talk show on one American news network that nobody watches.
Who listens to Bill Maher? Who is the target audience?
And he thinks it's an upgrade from being a congressman, not to mention the fact that he was super popular, consistently winning by over 30 points at every election, including the one just in November.
Is she aware?
We are in a true epidemic of loneliness.
But they go together, horny and lonely.
Yeah, so I have a friend who, she's a female creator on OnlyFans, and we were having lunch, and I was...
Why do you have a female friend creator on OnlyFans?
inquiring as to like what it's like what are these
Friends, look at the difference. You can just see the way we dress. We're not different people. This is like, you come from, the slacks generation. Like slacks were still a thing.
These are
no,
not
but slacks were a thing.
No, I look good. That's the difference. Is that you were
do
wearing
look good.
You're wearing
You don't gotta
sneakers.
throw that in my
You got
face.
you got a t-shirt on. Like
You look like a fucking defendant. You look like you're trying to beat a drinking and driving charge. He doesn't have a defendant. You look like you're trying to beat a drinking and driving charge. He doesn't have any priors, Your Honor. Look at him. He's wearing his Chelsea boots. He's a fucking, what do they call it? A productive member of society. He's a fucking, what do they call it? A productive member of society.
No one ever
All right, well then Nepo baby. Your dad has a construction company, you take it over. Does somebody call him a Nepo baby? No, it just becomes, Sanford and Son.
Yeah, but it's a little more pronounced when it's in the arts because you have this.
I hate that word.
Why?
Pronounced.
Jesus Christ.
Because that's like a PED.
You know what?
You know what it was? That was like a PED for your fucking point.
Your wife.
It's a little more pronounced.
Your wife must be a saint. Because, like, boy.
Because you're such a victim right now?
No, because you do like to, pick a fight about anything.
You just said I was stupid.
Well, that's
He just came at me.
That's a completely different subject. I don't know.
Right.
I just think it's gauche. But, yeah.
Here we go again with the big words. What does gauche mean? I've heard the word.
It means great in French.
Gauche? No, it doesn't.
No. You can always talk Beatles. And yes, they always, one reason they are prima inter pares among rock gods is that they...
I've never heard all of those words. Was that 3 words? Was that 2 words?
That's Latin for first among equals.
Don't you save that for your parties when you're wearing your smoking jacket? I'll tell you, that Bill Maher is really smart. He is really well-read. He just said prima paravartis.
Prima inter pares.
Inter pares.
You know what? I'm not the bad guy because I know more. Okay, can we just get
That's
that?
right. Don't
Can we
make
just
me. Don't make
Chiron
me.
that?
Exactly.
I'm not the bad guy because I know things. I apologize.
You should say, "I'm sorry, I'm not stupid, Bill." That's what you should have said.
Even?
Like
that
dude,
good?
listen, I get it. You're not a knock-around guy. You looked up Latin words and you didn't fucking hang out with the fellas and they used to hang you by your underwear at the lockers. So now none of them are funny because this is your one thing. But I'm funny. They could never be as funny as me.
Well,
like there's so much shit about you that's funny that you're not even trying to be funny. Your whole fucking outfit is hilarious.
My
I don't know what it
outfit.
is. Yeah.
A shirt and pants is an outfit?
You dress like that. You're going to sing that, what is that song? Splish Splash. I was taking a bath with your stupid little slippers that you're wearing.
Slippers. Paul McCartney was with, his girlfriend was Jane Asher. And he lived in her parents' apartment in the garret for like 3 years in the middle of London. I'm not making this up.
What's the garret?
The garret is like an attic, like, the top of the apartment.
Well, we're in California. You can just say attic. And then after that, did they move? Did they move to the garage and put some basil on their fry up?
Knowing things and words, asshole.
That's an asshole thing to do. To use the English word for fucking attic in California.
Okay, but
I'm one more reference away from taking this mic off and just walking out.
You don't realize that college campuses erupted with the... Okay, but...
I'm one more reference away from taking this mic off and just walking out.
You don't realize that college campuses erupted with the kids demonstrating for Hamas? They are in with the terrorists?
They were for the Palestinians.
Well, it's sort of the same cause. Why, are you?
I'm on the side of the kids.
Yeah, that's easy to say. You know, no one wants to see kids dead. This is a war.
That was very brave of you to say that.
This is a war. No, I'm the one who's actually brave on this.
Pat yourself on the back.
It's easy to say I'm for the kids. Who's not for the kids?
Well,
it comes down to real hard-nosed decisions. Like a country.
Stop talking like you're a general.
A country got attacked. Israel got attacked.
I'm not saying that they didn't have a right to go back. I'm just sitting there going like, how do I look at
We're the only country in the world that they get attacked, and then as soon as they counterattack, it's like, well, we got to stop this shit now. Don't attack them. There's a very simple solution to all this problem in the Middle East. Stop attacking Israel.
Hey, you
Stop
just solved
attacking
it.
Israel.
You just solved it.
I actually did.
There you go. That's fantastic.
Anyway.
All right.
We don't need to get onto that.
Let's go to Russia and the Ukraine. How do you solve that one, Bill? Let me hear your hard-nosed decision about that.
I bet you fly private more than you're letting on.
Listen, listen. If I have to go somewhere and I don't have enough time to get there.
Oh, suddenly we've got an exception.
No, I said mainly I fly commercial.
Well, you're an idiot. You shouldn't. You know what? It's.
What is this? If I don't agree with you, I'm an idiot.
You're right. I apologize.
Fucking John Varvatos shirt. You're not young. Put on a sweater, for fuck's sakes.
Put on a sweater. Why? But like artistic people, they don't like perceive truth exactly literally. Now, sometimes that's better and sometimes it's worse, because sometimes the truth is just the truth. And they don't see it that way. They see it sort of artistically. They see it through
Can I ask you a question?
And I don't think they're stupider. I just think they see life through a different prism.
Can I ask you a question?
We got to go.
Last time,
Good night.
from the bottom of your heart, you said to another human being, you know what? I'm wrong. And they had a live orchestra playing the score as you watched the movie.
Oh.
So cool.
Where was this?
Whatever that big symphony hall is that I never go to.
Oh, downtown, the Disney Center?
Yeah, the one that looks all weird.
Yeah, the one from
artsy.
Frank Gehry.
Frank Gehry?
He's an architect.
He's an architect. I knew he's an architect. Oh, that's a big thing in your world, knowing architects' names.
I wasn't trying to brag.
That's an L. Ron Hubbard.
No, it's just I'm always.
No, Frank Lloyd Wright. I always say L. Ron Hubbard. Frank Lloyd. That's a Frank Lloyd Wright.
You knew that one.
I like Frank Lloyd Wright.
Right. He and his brother invented.
I like Art
Frank
Deco.
Lloyd Wright. He and his brother invented the airplane.
I like Art Deco.
Art Deco.
First of all, I don't think you could change the oil in a car, so don't talk about fucking architecture.
I can't, and I wouldn't want to.
Oh, let me adjust my glasses. Can I tell you something, Bill? Most of the shit that you say is not smart. It's just sort of obscure.
It's not obscure to a certain percentage of people.
I'm
not some giant egghead. I'm just
I know you're not that smart.
I know. I'm not saying I am. Which says something about all these things I say that you don't know what I'm talking about.
So what?
I know.
There's subjects I could bring up. It's just, you're just into, musicals. I had a great time.
I hope so, because
you're my favorite smarmy person in this business.
Bill Burr, my goat, went on Bill Maher, not my goat, smug, annoying asshole Bill Maher show. This is what he had to say.
I love that
I hate Harvard. Are you kidding? Have you heard what's going on college campuses these days?
I don't watch the news.
You don't realize that college campuses erupted with the kids demonstrating for Hamas? They are in with the terrorists.
They were for the Palestinians.
Well, it's sort of the same cause. Why, are you?
Okay, sometimes not saying anything is so much better. Dude, that's such a good response. Oh, just fucking using the dead space to his advantage. Oh my God, what a... You guys know I am the biggest dick rider of Bill Burr. You guys know this. I am going to dick ride him into... I'm going to be blowing bubbles on it for this, okay? Trigger warning. You are going to see some gay sex happening right now. Oh my God, I'm gonna lick his bald fucking dome, okay? Nothing more devastating you can do on a comedy podcast as a comedian than hit him with dead air. Straight up, just dead air. It is infinitely better than giving him a reaction because he's trying to draw a reaction out of him. And he just said nothing.
I'm on the side of the kids.
Yeah, that's easy to say. You know, no one wants to see kids dead.
Yeah. That's so easy to say. It's so easy to say, even though I attributed being on the side of the student protesters to being pro-Hamas.
This is a war.
That was very brave of you to say that.
This is a war.
He cooked him. Yo. God, I love him, dude. Yeah, that's very brave of you to say.
Wants to see kids dead. This is a war.
That was very brave of you to say that.
This is a war. No, I'm the one who was actually brave on this.
Pat yourself on the back.
It's easy to.
God damn, dude. God, I fucking love him so much. He's so good.
Say I'm for the kids. Who's not for the kids?
Well,
it comes down to real hard-nosed decisions. Like a country.
Stop talking like you're a general.
A country got attacked. Israel got attacked.
I'm not saying that they didn't have a right to go back. I'm just sitting there going like, how do I look at what?
We're the only country in the world that they get attacked, and then as soon as they counterattack, it's like, well, we got to stop this shit now. Don't attack them. There's a very simple solution to all this problem in the Middle East. Stop attacking Israel.
Hey, you
Stop
just solved
attacking
it.
Israel.
You just
I did.
solved it.
I actually
There
did.
you go. That's fantastic.
It's great because, like, you can tell he's not, like, super well equipped to have this conversation. But even he's like, come on, Bill. You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking asshole. All right, Bill? All right, old Billy bitch tits? You fucking asshole.
Anyway,
all right.
We don't need to get onto that.
Let's go to Russia and the Ukraine. How do you solve that one, Bill? Let me hear your hard-nosed decision about that. Well, let me ask you a question. How is war still legal? All this shit that's been canceled.
Legal.
Why is that still fucking legal?
Would you like a real answer to that? Because for something to be illegal, you have to have the capacity to enforce it. And you can't enforce against war, or else you have to go to war with the country that's going to war. And we don't want to go to war with Russia over Ukraine.
I want to be as, like, cool and nonchalant when addressing, like, arrogant fucking assholes like Bill Maher. Because, like, he is so, like, when I hear him, I want to hurt him. Like, I want to hurt his feelings. I want to disrespect him. I want him to feel the pain that he is justifying. You know what I mean? I can't be, like, as cool and as effortless in the way that Bill Burr is always able to carry himself in, where he's just so quick. He's very quick-witted, which I love, but he also is just like, yeah, why are you talking like a general? You know what I mean? Like, he's not even addressing, he's just addressing directly the aesthetics of his argument. He's doing a phenomenal job of dismantling Bill Maher on the virtues that Bill Maher cares about the most. Okay, I know I said I was going to blow bubbles on it, but, like, I'm looking at this as, like, propaganda, okay? You're not understanding. Yes, I'm blowing bubbles on it, but then I'm also giving you good reason as to why I'm blowing bubbles on it, because I'm also carefully extracting more out of this conversation, this 2-minute conversation, than you otherwise would. Like, there's one way to look at this and just, like, laugh at it. And then there's another way to look at it and, like, carefully analyze the way that he is deflecting arguments, even when he doesn't have all of the information. And he's also, like, he's neutralizing grenades that are being thrown at him, right? He's over here, like, saying, oh, dude, you know, oh, these kids are pro-Hamas. They want Jewish rape to happen, or whatever the fuck he's saying. And he doesn't address any of the points at all. He's just like, all right, asshole, fucking calm down. I'm with the kids, okay?
And we don't want to go to war with Russia over Ukraine. What would be the sense of making it illegal? Oh, that's really going to stop Putin. No. To stop people from going to war, you have to also put
You can't sit down and talk it out. Why can't Putin do a podcast with the head guy? Like, you just solved the Middle East on a podcast. Why can't they solve what they're doing on a podcast?
This is why this is not your thing.
Make some hard-nosed decisions. It's not your thing. It's what you...
It is my thing.
It isn't your thing.
Okay, I want to see more of this now. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously fucking with him when he's like, yeah, why doesn't Putin do a podcast? That's a joke, Bill. He's making fun of you, dumbass. He's making fun of you. You don't even fucking understand. And you're such a smug piece of shit that you went, this is why this is my thing and not your thing. Idiot. God, he's so fucking stupid.
It is my
It isn't
thing.
your
This
thing.
is not
It
your
isn't.
thing.
You're like that guy
Playing
that
the-
has a fantasy football
No,
team and thinks
no,
he's
no,
a fucking
no,
GM.
No. No.
That's exactly what it is. Like, why am I fucking listening to you like you've done something? What have you done in Washington? Nothing.
My fucking goat, dude. Okay, I need to explain something to you. Sometimes the reason why I take certain positions without directly addressing the root cause is for this exact same reason. What is this? I really like Bill Burr's whole arc. If you watch his specials chronologically, it's basically about a guy whose functional marriage is slowly making him less insane. Oh, yeah. That's slowly making him less insane. Oh, yeah. That's true. That's true. The greatest thing that's ever happened, if you're an OG fan of Billy Bitch Tits, you know this to be an absolute fucking fact. His friendship with Patrice O'Neal and his wife literally straight up made him into a well-grounded person. I know he is the original black girlfriend / black wife meme. Yeah. There are heroes. There are unsung heroes out there. Can I just say, there is literally no greater hero on the internet than the guy who goes through and meticulously details with accurate timestamps on a YouTube video.
That's
what's over. Cancel culture?
Yeah, no one cares anymore.
That's so not true.
Ah.
Either one of us could get canceled in the next 2 minutes.
No. For what?
For
You're
what?
not doing anything. It was just like you did this joke about, this group of people or that group of people, and I've decided to, I don't know. I feel like I'm going back 2 years of my life.
mean-
Like I don't even think about it anymore. I feel like people that watch 24-hour news networks get institutionalized to blame colors of ties rather than the corporations behind them, and they will
my
just sit
God.
there convinced that Trump is the worst thing that happened to this country or Biden is the worst thing that happened to this country, and it's just like you might want to just kind of push through that veil a little bit further.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have this thing like when I get around like the 24-hour news zombies.
No, I look good. That's the difference. Is that you were
do look
wearing
good.
you're wearing
You don't gotta
sneakers.
throw that in my
You got
face.
you got a t-shirt on. Like
You look like a fucking defendant. You look like you're trying to beat a drinking and driving charge. He doesn't have any priors, Your Honor. Look at him. He's wearing his Chelsea boots.
Let's get to the good stuff.
That
I
bugs
hate
you.
Harvard. Are you kidding? Have you heard what's going on college campuses these days?
And the beautiful part is he's the one who brought it up.
You don't realize that college campuses erupted with the kids demonstrating for Hamas. They are in with the
No,
terrorists.
they were for the Palestinians.
Well, it's sort of the same cause. Why, are you?
I'm on the side of the kids.
Yeah, that's easy to say. No one wants to see kids dead. This is a war.
That was very brave of you to say that.
This is a war.
That's so funny. It's like it's brave of me to say that I want to see some kids dead. That silence is so cutting. It's so perfect. God, it's hard not to glaze this man, okay? I love him so much. Billy Bitch Tits, I know you don't know who I am, and I know you will never know who I am, but I fucking love you, man. I love you, big dog. I'm a certified yapper and a grade A glazer, okay? The amount of energy I spend glazing old Billy Bitch Tits, old Bilbo Baggins over here, literally is melting polar ice caps. He would destroy you. I would let him destroy me. It would be an honor to stand side by side with Bill Burr. If he was just like destroying my worldview, I would just sit there and I say, yes, sir, you're so right. I love him. He's phenomenal. He is a phenomenal person to be a spokesman for your cause, especially because he's, one, endlessly charismatic, and two, he does such a great job of like dismantling talking points while looking like an everyman, He looks like a fucking average Joe. He sounds like an average Joe. Sounds like a fucking stevedore. He has hundreds of, I guess, tens of millions of dollars at the very least, but he still ultimately lives a relatively ascetic lifestyle. He's a bald king. He does such a good job of like dismantling reactionary talking points in a way that convinces the audience that like his interlocutor is the insane one. He does such a good job of being like, dude, what are you saying? He hits that line so fucking well. Stop fetishizing the bald. I will never stop fetishizing the balds. You can't stop me. It's not illegal. Fucking bouncing on it like you're sitting on a spring sun. There are a couple people that I absolutely fucking glaze. And back in the day, it used to be Bernie Sanders, old Bernie, old Bernardo, LeBron James still to this day, and Bill Burr. Those are the three guys that are my goats. And yeah, Bernie is a little, I will always respect Bernie. Giannis Varoufakis and stuff like I also obviously love. Oh my God, he's also bald. Oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God. Wait, LeBron James, Giannis Varoufakis, Bernie Sanders, Bill Burr. Oh my God, all my heroes are bald. What the fuck? Lenin? Stop. Oh my God. Let's just continue.
Well, let me ask you a question. How is war still legal? With all this shit that's been canceled.
Legal.
Why is that still fucking legal?
Would you like a real answer to that? Because for something to be illegal, you have to have the capacity to enforce it. And you can't enforce against war, or else you have to go to war with the country that's going to war.
This actually perfectly demonstrates Bill Maher's way of thinking. Like, he made a silly remark like, oh, how is war not illegal? Huh? How about we cancel war? Like, he's not being serious when he says that. And then Bill Maher, takes him seriously and goes, oh, you want a serious answer? And then immediately starts demonstrating his worldview that like, oh, you can't stop war because like you would have to go to war with the other country. And it's too powerful or whatever the fuck. It's like, no, man, it's because people make money. It's always for resources. I don't think there's ever been a war throughout human history that wasn't about like ultimately about resources, whether it be land, whether it be gems, whether it be natural resources. It's just, that's it. And now the war economy in and of itself has become a very important resource. As a little reductionist, I mean, yeah, I'm just pointing to one singular aspect of why war occurs. Obviously, there's here, this is a great example. Religion. No. If you think the Crusades were simply on the virtue of religion and not that religion was used as a galvanizing principle, you've got it all wrong. That was resources. It was expansion. Religion was simply used as a way to justify the need to do such things. U.S. Civil War, literally resources. Slavery was a commodity. Human beings were seen as capital. The right went to war utilizing the pre-existing racial pecking order and the fears that many had in the South that their culture would change in an effort to defend slave owners from losing their mode of production. Better put, industrial capitalists versus agricultural proto-capitalists. Pearl Harbor was in direct response to our blockades of the Japanese petroleum industry. Yep. In every single aspect of like religious war or whatever, it's actually still about expansion, colonial ambitions, and securing resources. Except they masquerade as like religious wars in an effort to add a secondary reason, a galvanizing principle. Religion plays that role.
You fucking get off your little private jet. I have a TV show.
And you travel Southwest, is that right, Bill?
I love Southwest.
Really?
I love the order.
Is that how you travel?
I love Southwest.
Do you travel commercial?
Most of the time, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I won't lie, this is a bit of an indefensible take. I think Southwest is supposed to be democratically organized. It is so bad though. Southwest is like what right-wingers think communism is. People are able to purchase like a better position on the line so they can have their pick of the litter. Except like with the exception of the first row and I guess like the emergency exits, every single, including the fucking seats on the first row and the emergency exits, every single seat is dog shit. It literally is the right-wingers' understanding of communism or socialism. The true goal, obviously, and by the way, and that is because Southwest is a capitalist institution, the true goal should be to make it so that air travel across the board offers the same leg room that is like literally the same leg room that's like valid for every single fucking person on the flight. Sit your ass down and listen. No, it's because it's equally shitty for all on Southwest. Their goal overall is to just like pack as many people as possible to make as much money as possible because it's still a capitalist corporation. Complaining about airlines is such an influencer thing to do. It's such a passionate topic for podcasters. Wait, what? We live in the United States of America, chatter. What the fuck do you mean? Try going from like one part of this continent to the other, especially when there's no trains. Like, what are we talking about? Come on, like you would spend a day in a train? I have. And it was a fucking joyful experience every single time. Whether it be the Surfliner on the coast of the California water line from San Diego to Los Angeles, or obviously a much more elevated experience in the form of a bullet train going from Tokyo to Kobe. And in my childhood, I used to also frequently take the train in Turkey.
Bigger plane, better pilots. You don't get knocked around as much. You ride in a fucking Cadillac. The only thing that sucks about commercial is boarding. That's it. Once you're there and you got your fucking shit up there, you fly in first class. Which all first class is, if you've never flown it, is they treat you like a human being.
Oh my God, this is a one-to-one verbatim fucking Hasanabi take. I swear to God, someone find the clip. I've said this verbatim. I'm not even kidding. The only difference between business class and economy, other than like the obvious legroom, is literally they treat you like a fucking human being. I have said this verbatim. When you fly business class, they literally just...
Superficial
Could you imagine the firestorm that would erupt on social media as a result of that? The same logic applies here. The public would be outraged to learn that Jennifer got fired from this stunt, and the PR nightmare alone would probably get her rehired within the week. That's why the negative press that I described earlier would make much more sense. If Jennifer was receiving overwhelming unjustified hate, then it would make much more sense that she would also get unjustly fired, since the law firm wouldn't want to catch her heat. It would also make her character more tragic and easier to empathize with. She did nothing wrong, she saved people, and they know that, but they hate her anyway, just because she's a Hulk. But no, instead of that, we get this shallow leap in logic. But hey, at least there's an upside to this, because now Jennifer is jobless and she has a struggle to deal with. She applies to many new jobs, but no one will hire her. Again, this is a good thing. We love seeing our heroes struggle and overcome adversity, but it only gets worse because, Jennifer has to attend an awkward family dinner. Relatable, am I right? This scene only really serves as a comedy bit, but then Jennifer's dad pulls her aside for a private conversation. And behold, dear viewer, for I have something nice to say. Jennifer opens up about her struggles, and her father gives her positive advice on how to stay motivated. And surprisingly, she actually listens and shows him respect and gratitude for his help, as opposed to being rude and dismissive the way she was with Bruce. This scene was a brief refreshment because it was largely played straight, with no goofy shenanigans getting in the way. Her father is the first man in the show who isn't a complete doofus, and it was nice to see Jennifer embrace help without being nasty about it. That said, there are still a few cracks, and it was nice to see Jen getting in the way. Her father is the first man in the show who isn't a complete doofus, and it was nice to see Jennifer embrace help without being nasty about it. That said, there are still a few cracks in this gem.
But I wasn't gonna just let those people get hurt. No. What kind of person would that make me? And now I feel like I'm being punished for doing the right thing.
This line of dialogue is ironic, considering her bestie had to beg her to do something.
No, do your thing. And we're now in front of everybody? Yes. Come on, civic duty. Jen, come on. Oh, God, I really like this outfit.
And she only agreed after making sure her shoes were safe. If you want both of these scenes to work while still maintaining the joke, just reverse the roles from the earlier scene. Have Jennifer be the one that wants to help people, but Bestie keeps stopping her for superficial reasons like shoes and publicity. Bestie knows that those things would normally bother Jennifer, but when innocent lives are on the line, Jennifer doesn't consider them at all. That way, you can still do the funny while establishing heroic qualities within your hero. Conversely, if you don't want her to have heroic qualities yet, with her learning them over time, then don't have lines like this, because that creates a contradiction, and it sends a confusing message to the audience. A more bad faith argument would suggest that Jennifer is a liar who's spinning the story to make herself seem more virtuous. Otherwise, good job, show. You weren't completely incompetent here. However, don't think this review is turning positive because there are still more shenanigans afoot. Jennifer goes drinking at a bar and a new character appears to give her a job, meaning her struggle lasted less than 5 minutes before getting resolved. She loses her job, visits family, then gets a new job. Riveting stuff. It turns out that this new guy was the one who declared a mistrial due to her earlier fight, which ended up just being a manipulation to get her fired so he could hire her instead. Are we following along here? And then we cut to the first day on the job. It turns out that the new boss wants her to lead a superhero division for their law firm, and therefore she must be She-Hulk the entire time. People are startled at the sight of her Hulk form, which is understandable. I mean, just look at her. And Jennifer is peeved because even though she was desperate for a job and was hand-gifted a free new one, specifically made with her in mind, she's upset because people will think she got the job because she's She-Hulk and not because of her qualifications.
This sucks. I am totally qualified, but now everyone around here is always going to think this is the only reason I got the job. It's so unfair.
Even though she was hired solely based on the fact that she was She-Hulk and not because of her qualifications. If she was not She-Hulk, she would not be getting this job. But it's her own fault that she's in this situation anyway. She just accepted this job without learning any details about it.
You got me fired, now you want to hire me.
To be head of a new division, yes. Take some time.
I accept.
But honestly, most people would be grateful.
Head of a new division, yes. Take some time.
I accept.
But honestly, most people would be grateful to go from being unemployed to getting a prestigious, high-paying job exclusively tailor-made for them. She gets this massive, amazing office, but all she can do is complain.
This is very fancy, bitch.
I'm gonna have to buy an entirely new wardrobe just to come to work.
Iron Man was captured and tortured by terrorists until he built his own freedom. Black Widow was brainwashed and mutilated in order to become the perfect spy. Captain America sacrificed freedom. Black Widow was brainwashed and mutilated in order to become the perfect spy. Captain America sacrificed himself and froze for 70 years, losing nearly everyone and everything he ever cared for when he got out. But I'm sorry you got this massive office because you're green, Jennifer. On top of that, there's more confusion about the rules in this world. In the first episode, it seemed that Bruce could hear her when she broke the fourth wall, but now she does it and no one seems to notice. I guess it just works however the writers want it to at any given moment. She gets her first case and trouble arises because she has to defend for the Abomination. She doesn't want to do it for obvious reasons, but the new boss puts her job on the line if she refuses.
Everyone around here is always going to think this is the only reason I got the job. It's so unfair.
They mention that Abomination may receive a controversial release from prison, which is a bit hard to believe considering... Regardless, Jennifer chooses to meet with him before deciding if she'll represent him or not. She goes to this high-security prison, but they don't let her in while she's in her Hulk form because no superpowers are allowed inside. The rule makes sense, sure, but guys, you know she can turn the green on and off like a switch, right? It doesn't matter what form she's in, the powers are still readily available at any given moment. And what if someone like Bruce or Captain America tries to visit? Are people like them just banned from entry? Jennifer would still be more dangerous than Captain America, even though she's only entering in her human form. Odd rule, but I assume it's because they're running out of Hulk budget for this episode. I appreciate this security guard, because when Jennifer tries to start her goofs and gaffes, he immediately shuts her down.
So you gonna serve me up with some fava beans and a nice Chianti?
Ma'am, this is a prison.
Of course.
Thank you, good sir. Jennifer meets with Abomination, but it turns out that he can control his transformation too, and just chooses to be human now. So I guess everyone is just a better Hulk than Hulk is these days. Now simply going by Emil Blonsky, he goes on a sob story about how the super soldier serum caused his malicious behavior, and it's not fair that he be treated like the villain while the Hulk is praised as a hero. But again, why is the Hulk being celebrated as a hero? Hulk spent most of his time on Earth being treated as a rage monster before traveling to space for several years. Then after returning, he was stuck as Bruce Banner for the time skip, only recently becoming Smart Hulk. Has the public really turned around that quickly from fearing and hating him to loving him just as much as the other Avengers? Sure, people warmed up to him after the events of the first Avengers film, but then this happened. In regards to Blonsky himself, there's an argument if the super soldier serum made him lose control of himself, but that's just a plea for insanity. And he has some hefty charges considering he killed a lot of people. Not to mention he still has access to that great and terrifying power, so it's not the best idea to just let him roam free. That in mind, it doesn't seem like there's much of a case here. In spite of that, Jennifer just eats up his sob story and is quickly swayed into representing him. Wow, what a great lawyer. However, before she accepts the job, she calls Bruce to get his approval first.
Hey Jen, what's up?
Or rather, she's just telling Bruce that she's accepting the job regardless of how he feels.
I think you're calling me to tell me you're taking the job.
I'm calling you to tell you I'm taking the job. Yes.
Thankfully, Bruce is okay with it anyway, because Blonsky wrote him a nice letter and a haiku, so all is forgiven. In the comics, Abomination was one of the Hulk's longest running and most dangerous rivals, but here in the MCU, they're pen pals who share poems and love letters. Thrilling stuff. Bruce also mentions that it's fine because the fight was so long ago and he's a different person now, which is funny because it's literally true. The call ends with Bruce saying he won't be around for a while since he has some stuff he needs to take care of. As we cut to him traveling through space in the UFO that visited earlier. Well, alright then. I guess that addresses the UFO subplot, so I suppose we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. It's remarkable how good his cell service is beyond the stars. Afterwards, Jennifer calls her new boss to tell him she accepts Blonsky's case. New boss replies by telling her to watch the news, and whoopsie, apparently Abomination escaped from prison and joined the underground fight club we see in Shang-Chi, which is in China. And somehow he managed to pull this off without Jennifer finding out at all. And there's even an ADR line that implies he did this the same day he met with Jennifer.
Miss Walters, this is Holden Holloway. I expect to hear your decision by the end of today.
What is going on here? The only possible explanation is that Wong portaled him there for some mysterious reason. Time will tell, but something else worth pointing out is that the news reporter refers to Jennifer, saying that the Abomination's attorney has yet to make a statement on his escape, even though she just decided to be his attorney literal seconds before seeing this news report. Was this news report scene directed by a completely different team of people that had no interactions with the original showrunners? That's what it feels like, and it wouldn't be the first time Marvel did this. But that's where our episode ends, with a post-credit scene of Jennifer doing silly chores as She-Hulk. And once again, we can be thankful that this mess is finally over.
You do seriously surprise me.
Thank you.
You surprise me to how shit you are.
Up with this video. As usual, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, give this video a like, and on top of that, please share your experiences too. If you are a Delta Quadra type, or I don't know, maybe you've had experiences talking with Delta Quadra types. Yeah, share all of them down below. And anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so if I can summarize this quadra with one word to, I guess, describe this quadra's vibe, it'll be moralist, okay? And by that, I mean, here's just the definition for it. A person who teaches or promotes morality. A person who behaves in a morally commendable way, a person given to moralizing, if we want to define morality, principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong or good and bad behavior. If I could pinpoint this quadra with one word, I would say moralist. And let's say that this person that you are thinking about, right? Maybe they are, let's say, a TE lead and their feeling is inferior, so they're not necessarily the most moral person. Let's say that that's the case, right? They may not appear as a moralist type. They may appear to actually be rather domineering, maybe even bossy at times. They're very like, let's get it done.
Format, but I honestly found all of the changes to be welcome, as it was fun to play through an alternative version of the events we saw in the movie. Although this was published by LucasArts, a studio called Big Ape Productions is actually credited for the development of the game itself, although I'm not sure if they handled all of the production or only parts of it. I say this because the CGI cutscenes we see throughout the game look very similar to the ones seen in other LucasArts games from that time period, like Shadows of the Empire or Masters of Terras Kasi. It was developed and released for Microsoft Windows as a PC game and released on May 18th, 1999, just 2 days after the film's theatrical release. Then, roughly 4 months later, on September 14th, the game was ported to and released on the Sony PlayStation, which is the version I'll be playing and showing footage of for this video. Although I owned and played the PC version as a kid, That's the one I always see people talking about due to its graphical superiority. So I wanted to hone in on the PS1 version for this video and talk about what this port has to offer. The gameplay on offer here is a very strange hodgepodge of mix and match mechanics that make the experience a little difficult to pin down. It's an action-adventure game with platforming, dialogue interaction, sandbox exploration, and puzzle solving, all playable via a top-down camera perspective. There is very little information on this game's development, which leaves me with very little to say about what engine it's made on. What I can say is that it appears to be technologically competent. With that out of the way, let's take a look back at this video game adaptation of Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace.
I have a bad feeling about this.
We open in the waiting room of the Trade Federation control ship, much like the film did, with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan discussing their purpose in the Naboo system with the Viceroy. Expectedly, poison gas begins to flood the chamber, but that's when something unexpected happens. We have a dialogue tree interaction with the protocol droid in this room. This matters because why did they bother to put this function in the game? The truth is, I don't care why they did it, I love it. Of course, this interaction didn't happen in the film, but it sets a clear precedent about what players are in for. This isn't just going to be a game of playing through levels and killing things the whole time. Just like the film, the doors open to let Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan burst out in spectacular fashion as they slice the battle droids to pieces. Although it's playing through levels in the film, but it sets a clear precedent. I don't care why they did it, I love it. Of course, this interaction didn't happen in the film, but it sets a clear precedent about what players are in for. This isn't just going to be a game of playing through levels and killing things the whole time. Just like the film, the doors open to let Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan burst out in spectacular fashion as they slice the battle droids to pieces. Although it's quite a bit clunkier in this version. Now, it took me quite a few levels of playing to actually get the combat down, as you'll see, so if you're wondering why I'm not deflecting these blaster bolts, it's because I didn't figure out how until Mission 5. It's actually really cool to get to see these hallways and play through this sequence to see what these areas of the ship actually looked like beyond what we were shown in the movie. This is one of the smaller levels in the game. They actually end up getting longer and more open as you play, but so far Alright, well, we can still press on. If anything, this helps us slip past our pursuers. Well, there goes our ride. The fact that we can actually witness this scene from an entirely different perspective via this game is actually so cool, and I very much appreciate this little detail. Meanwhile, we have to make our way through these... ventilation shot. At this point in my playing, I still had no idea how to really handle this game's combat, so I was getting slaughtered. No worries though, as I do begin to figure it out here shortly. That's right, we're going tactical commando with Obi-Wan doing Jedi side rolls while laying down a barrage of blaster fire. This is completely ridiculous, but I still cannot seem to get enough of it. Let's take this generator offline real quick. Alright, now all we need to do is find Qui-Gon and get off this ship. Obi-Wan! Again, we don't exactly see Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan boarding these troop transports in the movie, so getting to play through this sequence is really interesting, especially since the developers are flexing their game's capacity for moving parts via button press. For a PS1 game, this is genuinely impressive, and we haven't even seen the last of it yet. Oh, here comes trouble. Taking out these droids, we can utilize this hovercraft to sneak aboard the troop transport and make our way to the surface. I'm not even going to front. These CGI cutscenes are so utterly unnecessary for a game based on a movie that already shows the things the cutscene is trying to emulate. Even so, their aged aesthetic paired with the novelty of this little title makes their inclusion feel special in a way that the developers literally could not have foreseen. I still love them. Anyway, we're on Naboo now, specifically the planet Swamps. I actually remember playing this level as a kid. I hated it back then, but playing it now, I'm actually a little bit charmed by it. I can really see what they were going for, and since the swamp sequence in the movie is so short-lived, getting to see more of what the Naboo swamps feel like is a treat for fans like me. And the game even has swimming mechanics. I mean, this might seem menial compared to modern games, and it really doesn't play a role in this game at all beyond this level and one other one, but the fact that it's here is just very cool to me. Things like this weren't super common in PS1 games, so I'm always impressed when I see this level of environmental interactivity. There's a lot of core mechanics introduced to us in this level actually, like the... Wait, did you hear that?
Who are you?
Mr. Jar Jar Binks.
Jokes aside, Jar Jar plays a minuscule role in this game, so if you've got an issue with him, don't worry, you'll barely see him. I personally don't mind the character in general, but I'm aware some people can't stand him, though that's another topic altogether. Doesn't matter what I think of him though, because the developers clearly hate him.
Misa clumsy, but Misa still help. Misa clumsy, but Misa still help.
Something pretty cool about this level is that it serves as a genuine vertical slice for the game. I'm pretty sure every single major gameplay mechanic you'll encounter throughout the rest of the game shows up in this one level. So you will know based on this level alone if you're about to enjoy the rest of the game or not. Every single mission that follows this are just variations of everything we do in this level. Some are more combat focused and others are more puzzle focused. This one is a great mix of everything, which is good because the next level tones it all down quite a bit.
Obi-Wan, over here. I see you've met John. We need to find safe haven until these droids pass by.
The Moto Grande safe place would be Autogunga. 'Tis where I grew up. 'Tis a safe city.
Can you take us there?
It's embarrassing, but I've been banished. My forgotten the bosses would do terrible things if me going back. Back there.
You hear that? That is the sound of 1,000 terrible things heading this way.
Your point is well seen. This way, hurry. My warning yous. Gungans no liking outlanders. Don't expect a warm welcome.
Getting into Autogunga, the expected dialogue occurs of Qui-Gon reasoning with Boss Nass about getting to Theed. Except this time, we have to go rescue Jar Jar from jail as Obi-Wan, and it's interesting. Before I talk about that, I gotta take a second to applaud the game design a little bit. I know it's following the plot threads of the film, so they kinda had to do it this way, but opening on an action combat-centric level and progressing into a level that introduced more platforming and puzzle solving, which then leads to a totally puzzle-focused level, is brilliant in my opinion. After this, the game just cycles through variations of the aforementioned level types. As for Autogunga, it takes what I'd say is the second highest amount of liberties for the sake of gameplay inclusion as we see in the game, the first being Coruscant.
I'm trying to sell these electro-binoculars.
Wandering around this underwater city and interacting with the Gungans makes for a unique experience that you can't really find in any other Star Wars game. I'd say this is one of the things that makes this game worth playing actually, just for the novelty of walking around the city and experiencing it like this. These platforms going up and down like this is, again, just showing off what they were capable of pulling off in this game at the time. It's great, I love it. For a game that insists on not letting us look up, it does have a surprising amount of verticality. As mentioned before, this game relies heavily on platforming since there's no real enemies here unless you make them, which of course I did make them by not bothering to figure out the correct way to handle getting around these guards, so I ended up just killing a bunch of them. But I'm pretty sure that's standard practice for this game, so I wasn't worried about it. I do love how we can see all of the fish moving around outside of the bubbles we're in. This is such an awesome level of love and care for a movie tie-in game. Anyway, there's Jar Jar, let's get out of here.
must warn the Queen of the Trade Federation's attack. Beyond this bridge is the city of Theed and the Queen's palace. Follow me, Obi-Wan.
This here's Big Mechaniques. Ouch time.
Okay, so Qui-Gon is dead. A tank just shot him. Not the bridge, that hit him directly. The first thing that happens is a tank shoots Qui-Gon and blows up the bridge with Jar Jar still on it. I don't remember that from the movie. Either way, that leads us into a platforming section, and this is the only other level in the game where the swimming mechanic will matter, but they did make great use of it. This level takes place in the Gardens of Theed, Naboo's capital city, and it's actually visually spectacular. I am aware of how much better this all looks on the PC version, of course, but there's something about these chunky PS1 graphics that really appeals to me. I guess because I grew up around these kinds of games and in the era of battle droids and whatnot, but I can't get enough of this aesthetic. We even get to navigate a maze garden while fighting droids. It's great. I do need to say that this game is actually really challenging. Like, it's mostly fair except for 2 instances, but overall, it's a pretty difficult game to play. This comes down to the controls and lack of health items throughout the levels. Most levels have a precisely placed number of health items from start to finish, with an idea of when you will need more health if you're playing competently. Some levels are more generous with these than some are less generous. I would have liked to see a bit more playtesting for these levels to dial in this placement a bit more, because there are some sections that need a few more health pickups, particularly an escort mission, which is next actually.
I am glad to see that you have survived. The Trade Federation has taken complete control of Theed. We must escort the Queen to safety.
The hangar is some distance from here. There's a passage underneath the palace. This one.
This is it, the hardest mission in the game, and arguably the worst. Its competition being the Coruscant level, which I'm getting to that. Escort missions are pretty awful, regardless of the game, and this is universally well known. But this game is especially not suited for it. Trying to protect the Queen with the control scheme we have is a terrible experience. Guess what she does when she starts taking fire? She falls to the ground and covers her head as blaster fire rips her to shreds. She doesn't run and hide or take cover or anything. She's not even the real Queen. We should just leave her here and go, to be honest. Sometimes she stops and waits for us to check if the next area is safe to proceed, but other times she just runs ahead and will not stop or run back or anything. She'll just drop to the ground and cover her head while screaming, "Help me!
Help me!"
The only thing to offset this design is the enormous amount of health she has, so she can just tank 100 blaster bolts before finally keeling over. But unfortunately, I lost a lot of that health bar near the start of this mission, so it was very stressful near the end. Because they start rolling out droideka patrols, and taking those things out without dying yourself is a serious challenge. It's so bad at times that near the end of this level actually doesn't even feel fair. As you try and fight off the droids ahead of you, the game spawns in an entire patrol right behind you, and you can't account for them because they spawn right around the corner after you cross a threshold. So you have to trigger the aggression of the droids ahead of you and then turn around immediately to go try and fight the freshly spawned group behind you, which includes a droideka. This is actually the most combat heavy level in the game, and it's for the worst because it's painful to try and play. This is one of only 2 places I soft locked myself from progressing due to the Queen's health being so low and just turned on invincibility to beat the level. Finally, with that out of the way, we're able to board the Queen's shuttle and head to the next level, which left me in a deeply conflicted state. It's pretty well known on this channel how little I appreciate the frequent usage of the planet Tatooine in the Star Wars universe. I understand how much it probably eases development time to make assets for a barren desert world, and I also recognize the significance of the world to the films. That said, I usually get frustrated when other media in the universe opts to go to Tatooine because it's supposed to be a backwater nothing planet whose only notable trait is being the planet that Jabba the Hutt operates from.
The Hutts are gangsters.
So the fact that arguably the best 3 missions of this game all take place on Tatooine was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. For the next 3 levels, we are given control of Qui-Gon as we wander through the streets of Mos Espa trying to get our hands on a T-14 hyperdrive generator. A part that no one in town seems to have except for our favorite Troydarian, Watto. When I say that's what we're doing, I mean we are literally just walking around doing side quests to help the residents of the town and trade parts. So why did I say these levels are the best of the game? Well, I don't really know if I can explain it, but I just felt like there's something so satisfying about getting to walk around and interact with people and do side quests as a Jedi in a more sandbox RPG setting like this. The first thing that happens is the game lets us fight off some Tusken raiders between us and the town. These things are really aggressive and want us dead, and probably also to assault us and enslave us, and maybe, depending on the tribe, even eat us through a straw.
I hate them!
So I slaughtered them like animals. Finally getting into the city of Mos Espa, we see a host of friendly NPCs to interact with, and the way they were able to make this little city feel so lived in on a PS1 game is so cool to me. I took it for granted back then, but I've played PS2 games that couldn't manage to make a city feel lived in like this. There's no shortage of exotic aliens to see and interact with, including Team Toe Pagalis, for some reason. He's a reoccurring character in this game with multiple lines of interactable dialogue, and none of the other racers are, yet Team Toe shows up multiple times. Unfortunately, Rats Tyrell does not appear. Want me to make that death scene way worse? That's a real deleted scene by Team Toe Pagalis for some reason. He's a reoccurring character in this game with multiple lines of information. Then when we eventually find Anakin,
So they got rid of him and replaced him with Coleman Trevor, this rad-as-hell dinosaur dude who gets absolutely blitzed by Jango Fett during the battle. The other Jedi who gets replaced is Yaddle.
Pizza because Mon Calamari are people, and I did not know that.
George decided to get rid of him because he thought his design was too similar to that of the Kaminoans, and he was worried that would confuse audiences. And you know, I feel like I should feel insulted by that, but honestly, I kind of get it. If I've learned anything from running this channel and interacting with Star Wars fans, it's that a lot of them are kind of fucking stupid. So they got rid of him and replaced him with Coleman Trevor, this rad-as-hell dinosaur dude who gets absolutely blitzed by Jango Fett during the battle. The other Jedi who gets replaced is Yaddle, and the reason for that was because, again, they had to go with a digital Yoda throughout the movie, and they thought it would look weird if he was CGI, but Yaddle was still a puppet. I guess they couldn't be asked to just make a CG model for her, so instead they replaced her with Shaak Ti, a character based on an unused concept design for the Sith antagonist who would eventually become Dooku. I can totally get behind making this change for the sake of visual consistency, but it does bother me somewhat that he went back to make Yoda CGI in The Phantom Menace back in 2011, but kept puppet Yaddle. Like, George. But anyway, I bring all that up because but kept puppet Yaddle. Like, George. But anyway, I bring all that up because I just find a lot of the behind the scenes stuff fascinating to watch, and some of my favorite parts about working on these videos has been going through that stuff and seeing how these films were made. There's so much passion and creativity behind them, and even when I find even more reasons to lose respect for George, I can at least appreciate how much talent did go into them, regardless of the final result. It's just nice to see the process behind certain things that I've always taken for granted, because I've seen these movies so many times since I was old enough to even remember. But I guess I should probably find some way to wrap this into some kind of conclusion, shouldn't I? I've more or less talked about everything that I think needs to be said about this film, and the last thing I want to do in this nearly 2-hour video is waste anyone's time, so I guess here goes. Much like its predecessor and follow-up, Attack of the Clones is a film with a lot of really good ideas that are unfortunately just not well executed. It's a movie that tries to cover themes that are much deeper than the writing allows for, while also aiming itself toward a demographic of mainly children, and I just don't think it does a very good job meshing those things together. The prequels are often criticized for being boring, which is a point that I hate for any movie because it doesn't really tell me anything, but honestly I'd say this one is anything but. This movie has way too much going on, and it never allows you even a moment to breathe. The second you even begin to process a slurry of confusing and muddled information thrown in your face, the film is already 10 scenes ahead trying to force feed you even more confusing exposition. Trying to make sense of the vast majority of this plot will leave you with more questions than you had to begin with, and even though I think there are technically valid answers and inferences to a lot of these questions you could raise, I don't think the film does the legwork to properly communicate those answers to its audience. If the main bulk of people who watch this movie can't tell what actually happened and what the characters even know by the time they walk out of the theater, then you failed to do your job as a screenwriter, even if it were to technically make sense once you lay it all out. Because like I said way earlier in this video, I understand to an extent why most people don't seem to understand the plot. I myself only understand it as well as I think I do because I painstakingly combed through the film trying to work it out for myself, and that's why this video took so long to make. I had to constantly revise my script and take notes upon notes upon notes every time I uncovered a deeper layer that recontextualized a criticism or defense that I had. It was kind of exhausting, and honestly that's a good word to describe this whole movie. Exhausting. It's a film that wants to cover so much ground and has absolutely no time to develop it all in a way that makes sense. At its core, it wants to be a mix between this romantic soap opera and a kind of spy-esque detective story that merge into this big, plucky action adventure, and I just don't think any of those elements work at all, so I'm gonna give Star Wars Attack of the Clones a 2.5 out of 10. Not the worst Star Wars movie, but of the prequel trilogy, it's absolutely the weakest. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I mean it when I said this video took forever to make. I put the Phantom Menace review out in May, right in time for the 25th anniversary, and originally the plan was to have this one out by the end of the summer and be well into my Revenge of the Sith review by now. But as you can see, that didn't happen, and that's thanks in large part to the fact that I had a really busy summer and there were a lot of things that I felt the need to cover that came out these last few months. So this just kind of had to sit on the back burner a lot. If all goes to plan, this should be premiering at the end of November, but if not, Merry Christmas, I guess. Also, big thanks, of course, to Southpaw for helping edit this video. He's got some good stuff in his library if you want to check out his channel, link in the description. And while we're plugging, I should mention I have a Discord server that everyone tells me I never advertise, even though I know for a fact I've said this exact same thing in multiple other videos, so whatever. Go check that out if you're a fucking movie nerd like me, and if you feel so inclined to financially support me, I have a Patreon, and you can become a channel member and get access to my videos 2 days early. So if that's something that sounds appealing to you, there you go. Otherwise, that's it for today. Goodbye! From the moment I met you, all those years ago, not a day has gone by when I haven't thought of you. And now that I'm with you again, I'm in agony. The closer I get to you, the worse it gets. The thought of not being with you, I can't breathe. I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me.
Getting slapped around by battle droids, beating up Jar Jar, and the world's hardest platforming stages, then you grew up playing Jedi Power Battles. The era of Star Wars prequel games. It was definitely an experimental time for LucasArts. For example, Attack of the Clones had 6 tie-in games, each covering a different element of the movie. See my in-depth video here. Phantom Menace, on the other hand, took a different approach. They decided to make a direct tie-in game that covered the whole movie. And then they made another one a year later, and I don't mean they ported it or remastered it, no, they made a completely different Episode 1 tie-in game. And then they did it again another year later. But in this video we're going to focus on the second game, Jedi Power Battles, which itself had 3 different versions, maybe even 4. So let's get straight into it. The original version of Jedi Power Battles was released on PlayStation 1 in April of 2000, almost a year after the original Phantom Menace game. And what a name! This isn't whiny weakling combat, this is Jedi Power Battles. This game's USP is definitely the co-op multiplayer and the expanded character roster. The game consists of 10 levels covering the key locations and set pieces of Episode 1. Unlike the Phantom Menace game, which mixed a bunch of gameplay genres like action, platformer, RPG, and gun murder simulator, Jedi Power Battles is a bit more streamlined. It focuses more on the hack and slash style of combat with a bunch of platforming thrown in. So usually I go through each version of the game going chronologically. However, in this case, I'm going to make an exception because the Dreamcast version of this game, released 6 months later, is far superior. It's got better graphics, higher resolution, and a higher frame rate. The controls were also improved, and thank God, because the PlayStation 1 controls are rough. Do you know any other hack and slash game where the character can't turn back? No. Oh, Jesus Christ, turn around. Look, the battle droid's thinking, what the f is wrong with this guy? So I'm going to focus on the Dreamcast and highlight the differences between that and PlayStation 1 as we go along. The only thing the PlayStation 1 does better is the start screen. The Dreamcast version looks like it was thrown together in MS Paint in like 5 minutes. We've got Obi-Wan who's been flipped, his braid is on the wrong side, and then there's Qui-Gon who looks like he's just stumbled out of a nightclub at 5 in the morning, but the worst one's got to be Mace Windu. Look, they just put his head on Obi-Wan's body. Wow. The game starts with a nice pre-rendered cutscene showcasing the playable characters doing all sorts of acrobatics, apart from Plo Koon, who's clearly the work smarter not harder type. Having all these extra playable characters does create some interesting alternate reality scenarios. Imagine if Qui-Gon had too much gin the night before, so they had to send Plo Koon instead. That would actually explain his appearance on the start menu. The characters have 2 speeds, full-on sprint, and a slower walk. Looks like Obi-Wan's been practicing his catwalk strut. Some of the battle droids have blasters, but others just start punching and kicking you. Protocol droid, how are you? You can't see it, but Plo Koon's actually slipped him a $5 for opening the doors. This being essentially a beat-em-up game of swords, there are a bunch of different power-ups scattered all around the levels. You've got your regular ones like extra health, and for some reason every time you grab one, Yoda laughs at you. But then you've got this one I like to call Holy Ghost Plo Koon, and my favorite, the Lightsaber Viagra. Master, maybe the Protocol droid can help us. Master, that's so uncivilized.
Shut up, you know, I know what I'm doing.
And so, Obi-Wan and Master Plo make their way through the Trade Federation ship, taking on this Final Fantasy VII boss, and then a droid starfighter at point-blank range. Finally, they make their way down to the swamps of Naboo. Master, watch out! Oh, never mind. I guess that extra long lightsaber slowed him down. Okay, so you finally catch up to Jar Jar and then... Wait, what the f*** is that? I don't remember Obi-Wan having to slap around a giant worm in the movie. And viewers, whatever you do, don't play this game with your younger brother who doesn't know how to play platforming games. And speaking of which, multiplayer can become excruciatingly difficult if you're playing it with the wrong person. You see, because the lives are actually shared by both characters, so if you're playing it with a friend who knows how to play the game, and you both time the platforming with expert precision, then you might just make it. But if you're playing it with your dumb little brother who's just running off the edge every time, then walk away and play Yoda's story. Because once you get to the Theed level, the platforming really starts to require some ninja level precision. Shit. Come on. And I'm playing this on the Dreamcast version with the enhanced controls and platforming. If you manage to somehow beat this game co-op on PlayStation 1, where the platforms take damage and your jump will glitch half the time, you deserve some kind of a, I don't know, statue. Also, even the Dreamcast camera has a touch of the Dragon Ball sagas, so if one of the players is falling behind, they will just get stuck behind the camera. So when you're not failing at platforming, your actual mission in Theed City is to save the Queen's handmaidens. Moving on. The next level is the Royal Palace. You've got to find the Queen and then escort her to safety. Easier said than done. She just stands there in the corner screaming the whole time. I honestly don't know what's worse, this one or her just talking shit. Play Yoda's story, because once you get to the Theed level, the platforming really starts to require some ninja level precision. Shit. Come on. And I'm playing the platform by time for a bossy battles. The penultimate level to rescue the 5 minutes before I realized Darth Maul was just trying to run off. And if you're thinking, wait, this final boss is uncharacteristically easy, then you'd be right, because Darth Maul isn't really the final boss in this game. Traversing the platforming in this level is the real final boss. When you first start playing this game, you think, why did they give us the slow walking function? Well, they added it for this level because there's no way in hell you're going to get through all these stages running around. And oh boy, does this level provide plenty of opportunity for you to f*** things up. We've got the rings, we've got the narrow walkways, the giant fans. I wonder where this takes us. Whee! Oh, we've got these shield generators, and then the super narrow platforms, where you can actually push the other player off. Oh, and they also have shield generators. Guess what? I'm actually playing this on easy mode, and finally, after all of that, your reward is taking on Darth Maul, and he has Frieza's finger death beam. Of course he does. We wouldn't want to make things too easy for us. Okay, so you beat the f*** out of him one last time, then he teleports into the reactor shaft, and that's it. The game ends with a pre-rendered cutscene of the celebration, although I've got to say I kind of prefer the Phantom Menace rendition just for the creepy Anakin, but Jedi Power Battles does have Qui-Gon hanging around with the rest of the group, wearing a very low v-neck and generally not being dead. This game does have a bunch of unlockable content, like extra characters that allow you to create some interesting alternative realities, like Captain Panaka spinning backfisting the entire droid army, or Padme taking on Darth Maul instead of the Jedi. Hey, stop that. You're gonna get in real trouble with Sith HR. But my favorite one is Darth Maul escorting little Anakin through the desert instead of, you know, trying to run him over. You can also unlock other game modes, like this one where you roll around as a droider car taking out royal pilots. And if you get up close, you can just smack the shit out of them. You also get this little Kadu race, but the most memorable mode has to be Gungan Roundup, which is just an excuse for you and another player to abuse Jar Jar. You know, something tells me these developers weren't very keen on poor Jar Jar Binks. Alright, so these are the two console versions of Jedi Power Battles, but what about the handhelds? Well, a month after the Dreamcast version, LucasArts released Obi-Wan's Adventures for the Game Boy Color, developed by Hot Gen Studios. And the obvious question you might be asking is, what does this have to do with Jedi Power Battles? Well, bear with me for a minute and all will be revealed. This game also covers the events of Episode 1. That's right, this is technically the fourth straight movie tie-in for the Phantom Menace. So it starts with a slideshow showing some key Obi-Wan moments from the movie. We've got Obi-Wan looking confused after Qui-Gon decided to drag along a bumbling Gungan on their diplomatic trip. Then we've got Obi-Wan looking confused after Qui-Gon decided to stop training him in favor of a small slave child he just found. And Obi-Wan hanging off the edge about to fall to his death after Qui-Gon rushed in and got himself killed. There are 9 levels and most of them are played across an isometric plane, apart from this one extra annoying Unabongo level which is played with tank controls. Obi-Wan also slides around quite a lot. I guess these Neimoidians really like to have their floors waxed. Oh, and Obi-Wan can also use a blaster in this one. The final battle just involves Darth Maul chasing Obi-Wan around in circles. Stay back, I have a gun. You can quickly see there's a lot of similarities between Obi-Wan's Adventures and Jedi Power Battles. Both are Jedi action games set during Episode 1 with platforming elements. My hunch is that this actually started life as a Jedi Power Battles port for the Game Boy Color. I mean, look, it came out almost at the same time as the Dreamcast port. Maybe the developers couldn't get the other characters apart from Obi-Wan integrated in time, so they just called it Obi-Wan's Adventure and released it. What I think gives credence to this theory is that a year later, Hot Gen Studios would release a Jedi Power Battles for the Game Boy Advance, and, well, notice anything familiar? So I kind of see Obi-Wan's Adventures as a Jedi Power Battles 0.5. So what's the GBA version like? Well, you have a choice of 3 characters. There are now 10 levels, just like in the console version, and they've been reworked from the Game Boy Color version to match the console levels, which means the anxiety-inducing platforming is back, and so are the asshole droids. You still have to escort Anakin through the desert, and the bike level is still there, although this time it's at a more leisurely pace. The only big departure from the console version that I noticed is that for some reason you actually fight Jar Jar in the swamp instead of the giant worm. Also, this version finally has a decent start menu, but notice how they actually used a promo shot of Mace Windu from Episode 2, only with a blue lightsaber. And so there we have it, every version of Jedi Power Battles. Look, the handheld games are cool, but I think most people remember the grueling console versions. I'm thinking this has got to be the toughest 3D Star Wars game, especially on PlayStation 1. So I'd be very interested to hear what you guys think. Did you find this game hard? Did you play it with a friend? Are you still friends after playing it together? Please let me know all your thoughts in the comments. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.